Today I'm at a Ford dealership because they have an inventory problem and it's sitting all behind me right here. So they've got about 40 trucks right here. This is the reason why Ford is failing right now.
For the month of February, Ford sales falling 8.9%.
And all these trucks are the biggest problem that Ford is going to have to deal with in the coming 12 months. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it doesn't stop there. Look at all of these Super Duty trucks. And later on in this video, I'm actually going to show you what these Ford dealerships pay for these vehicles. So you can see the invoice price. This is on paper what the dealership is going to pay for that invoice price versus MSRP is much lower than what you see out of this F-150. But even that number is kind of hidden and very shady. So I want to point out something like this. I mean, there's a whole row of these trucks right here, but this is a Ford XLT. This is not the highest level trim. It's closer to the lowest level trim than the highest actually. But the 2024s, and this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about where all these trucks, a majority of these trucks are still 2024s and we're into 2025 and they still have to get rid of these things if they're going to take more trucks. So this one's a 2024, is a XLT, and the total MSRP on this thing is $61,000. This is one of the lower level trims that you can get through Ford. You have Platinums, you have the King Ranch that's above this, you have the Lariat that's above this. So this is not even eclipsing really the height of what you can pay for a truck. And still, $61,000 for your run-of-the-mill four-door truck through Ford right now. This is the problem, and if Ford is going to move more of these trucks, well, incentives have to come down. If Ford is going to get their dealers to move out 2024s so they can pump them more 2025s so then Ford can make money, well, they're going to have to deeply discount a lot of these 2024s that are sitting on the lot, because look at this. This right here is a problem. And here's a Maverick. We can check this. We're starting to see more and more and more of these Mavericks around these dealerships. I mean, 12 months ago, you couldn't find one. If you found one, it'd have a dealer markup, but this is the trimmer package on it. Let's see if it's a 2024. This is actually a 2025. This is the first 2025 that I've seen today. $41,000, little bitty truck, $41,000. That's a lot of money for this truck. But there are a lot of people asking for these things, and there are a lot of people that wanted to buy them. But they didn't want to buy them at that $41,000 price point. The big selling point for the Maverick, if you remember, and why dealers had a lot of these markups and they couldn't keep them, is because they were in the like high 20s. I mean, it was a lower trim package, but that's what people were asking for. They were asking for that price point. So Ford right now has vehicles absolutely stacked everywhere at their dealerships. It's so bad that they have over a 100-day supply of inventory at these dealerships. And to be specific, it's 103 days. So just to give you a reference point, where dealerships like to be is around 50 days. So Ford dealers right now have over twice as many days of inventory that they actually like to keep on a regular basis. So Ford has actually recently said that they're going to push back the release of the new body styles of F-150s. And why would they do this? It seems like, okay, they need to drum up some attention on a lot of these F-150s that they've got to get rid of. So maybe with the new model coming out, they'll be able to actually make some more sales, things like that. Usually with a new body style coming out, you can get a lot more buyers on the other end of that spectrum. And it seems like that would be a good thing for Ford right now when it seems like things are dire. But here's the thing. Well, you know we have 2024s, tons of them sitting right here. You got 2025s just sitting around at Ford right now waiting for dealers to take allocation. We already know that a lot of Ford dealers are turning down allocations right now, so there's trucks just sitting around. And in Ford's estimation, is my assumption, that they're going to be holding on to trucks that they're producing right now for probably a very long time. So why don't we just repurpose those trucks that we're making right now that might have been destined to be 2025s? Well, now we're going to be holding on to them for a while, so well, maybe we should slap that 2026 badge on them. They're the same body style, right? That's why we pushed it back. And even into 2027 too. This is why they're making that kind of change right now, because they know that they're going to be sitting on some trucks that they can't move out to dealers. And if they would have the old body style still be in 2025, and they would have a new body style coming out in 2026, well, all those older body style trucks would have to be 2025s. But if they're not changing anything and then they're delaying the actual, the new body style, well, they can call those trucks whatever year they want to, right? So Now we found a solution to the problem of trucks sitting around, and this makes it to where Ford doesn't have to hyper aggressively sell. Is that right? Hyper aggressively? They don't have to hyper discount trucks to get them out quick so they can get the new body styles out. No, they bought themselves a couple more years by making this announcement. And now those trucks that are sitting around that they know they can't get to dealers yet, well, they're just going to be the next model year trucks. And that's I think, smart on Ford's side of things, but I would rather them just discount the trucks. Let's get these 2024s and 2025s out of here. And here's an XL. I did want to check this out. So this is going to be your bottom of the line. This is the cheapest four-door truck that you should be able to find at Ford. You got your just basic wheels. Let's see, 2024 on this one still. I haven't found a 2025 yet, but the 2.7 V6, I don't like that. And it's $50,000. So the cheapest plain work truck. I mean, you got the fold down seat in there, if you could see that. You got the basic wheels. You got the V6, not a V8, $50,000. About the cheapest four-door thing that you're going to be able to find at Ford, full-size truck. That's gross. And when I come to these dealerships, I always want to look for the cheapest thing that you can purchase when you're coming to like a brand new Ford dealership like this. And what I will say is, I mean, when you look around, I mean, you can look at any of these Ford dealerships. Even, I mean, Stellantis has the same problem. GM, Chevy have the same problem now too. Is that you're not going to see any small, affordable sedans. So you're not going to see any little two-door cars, not anything that's bare bones. About the cheapest thing you're going to find is something like this, and I would guess these are going to be one of your cheapest vehicles that we can find. So let's check this one out. Yep, a Ford Escape. It's a 2024. This one's a plug-in hybrid, so this one's a bad example. It's $42,000. We'll see if we can find one that's not a plug-in hybrid. I would guess these two are right here. So let's check this one right here. That's a ST line, so this one might not be the cheapest of the cheap, but it's going to be pretty close. But this one's a 2025. And you get down to $33,000 on this. And I've seen some of the Escapes that they have that's a lower trim level than this, and it's right at 30 grand. But that's the cheapest thing that you're going to find. Let's see, this is an Escape all-wheel drive. That was $31,000. So we have the similar situation in that. So right at 30 grand is about the cheapest thing that you're going to find if you're looking at a Ford. So you can go to Toyota, you can go to Honda, you can get an actual car, a Corolla, a Civic, and be in the mid-20s. But Ford is not the case. You can go to a Nissan, you can get something lower 20s. Now, I mean, it's debated whether a Nissan is a good car or not right now, and they produce a good product. But you can still find something. If you're a consumer that needs to spend under $25,000, you're not coming to Ford. Ford is losing that customer base. And really, I mean, Ford as a manufacturer, if they can keep pumping out stuff like this and make high margin on it, then they don't want those customers. The Ford dealerships, I mean, who knows? They can still sell back-end products to those consumers. I would think the Ford dealerships still want those consumers, but Ford as a manufacturer, if they can get you a Ford Expedition instead of a little four-door Focus, 2024 Expedition Max, $73,000. They 100% would rather sell you than a $20,000 vehicle, right? All right, so check this out right here. Well, I'm in the middle of a cluster right here of parked cars, and this is what a lot of these Ford dealerships are having to do right now. Specifically with these Broncos, all these Broncos, the big body ones, they're stacking up. But you can see how they've got them lined up here. I mean, this is not even designated for really new cars from my estimation because their service center is right here. But they have new vehicles all right here. They got new vehicles stacked up in the middle of the lane, and then they got more of these big body Broncos right here. But I'll show you, see all these big body Broncos right here. Then we walk through, you've got, there's another one, but I think we have another row on this side. Yep, there's more big body Broncos right there. You've got more down there. You've got more parked in the middle right here. You've got more parked down here. And then if you can see that wheel right in the middle, you've got more cars just parked in the middle. But I wanted to pull out one of these Broncos. These Broncos are one of the biggest problems that Ford has had to deal with as of late. And I would assume, yep, every one of these big body Broncos is probably a 2024. This one's $63,000 as Badlands Edition. And the reason why I would say that and that I would guess that is because they've actually pulled back all the production on the big body Broncos. And it's because these dealerships are stacking up with it. You can see them right here. I mean, I'm walking in between two more of them. It's a bad look for Ford and the Bronco. I mean, people were crazy about that thing. 18 months ago, I would go onto these dealerships all the time and try to just find one. And I would find 2 or 3 at most of these dealerships that I would walk onto. They would have $10,000 market adjustments. And it's crazy how quick the market can flip on a specific vehicle, because everyone who wanted to buy a Bronco, I guess they just bought it and now there's no more buyers there for it. But it seems almost weird to me, because it seems like it would fall into the same vein as like a Jeep Wrangler, where you have the off-roady type of people. Even if they're not going to off-road, they want to look like they off-road, right? To go get their groceries in this this big lifted cool SUV. It looks awesome. I think they're cool. But you don't have buyers there for them. And I think it comes down to that maybe it's not that there's no buyers, there's people out there that like them. I like them, but it's a price point. And I will say one thing that I've noticed at a brand like Stellantis, you think Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, when I go to their dealerships now, it looks like they have had some kind of a little bit of a sell down. When I go to their dealerships, they're not packing a Ram sideways anymore at the dealerships, and the dealerships that I know that sell Rams, it looks like they're having more and more empty spots, and that's coming from a lot of these big discounts that are coming from the manufacturer, and then also the dealers on top of that. You can go to a lot of these Jeep, Dodge, Ram dealerships, and Ram truck, you can get $15,000, maybe even $20,000 off some of these Ram trucks that these dealers are selling. And you haven't seen that yet at a dealership like Ford, where I'm going to these Ford dealerships, and it seems like each and every time I go to them, it's almost like they have more F-150s sitting on them. So if you can see an example of these Ram dealerships and what's happening to them, and them being able to sell down, and the reasons why they're able to sell down is because of these deep discounts, it's probably not too far away where you're going to start seeing a bunch of big time incentives coming out of Ford, because they have a problem. They know they have a problem. They're just trying to make the most and get all the sales that they can in this little amount of time before, okay, we have to start turning in some numbers for our shareholders, right? And we can already see that their stock price is taking just a beating. So now let's talk about what these dealers actually pay for these vehicles. I'm going to show you a lot of the ones that we've shown in this video, the F-150, the big body Bronco, and the Ford Escape. Keep in mind, when I'm showing you this invoice pricing, this is not the full picture. Yes, with pen and paper, this is what these dealers pay for these vehicles, but there's a lot of other things that are happening behind the scenes that can actually lower the cost of what these dealers are actually in these vehicles for. One easy thing is holdback. They get a percentage of the actual sale every time they make a sale on the vehicle. They can get floor plan assistance. They have marketing assistance, and they can spread that across all the vehicles that they're buying from the manufacturer. So yes, I'll show you on paper what they're paying for these cars, but just know that there are a lot of other numbers, a lot of other monies that are going to these dealerships to help ease the pain of the invoice pricing. So this is a 2025 F-150 XLT. It's 4-wheel drive, and we can see the MSRP just like we saw in the video that on that Ford lot. It's going to be right around this $68,000 to $70,000. Depending on trim. Now, a lot of these MSRPs you're going to see are the base level trim, so they don't have all the extras that dealerships can actually add, or that the manufacturer can add if they're souping up, or they're adding some of these extra accessories in the factory to a lot of these. So you can see the invoice price. This is on paper what the dealership is going to pay for that. It's $64,229. And on this one was interesting, because I want to scroll down and actually show you. I'm not confident. This is coming from Car Edge. I'm not confident that this market day supply is accurate. But anyway, this is what their data is showing them, is that these F-150s, Ford has a market supply, a day supply of these things of 444 days, which is absolutely insane. So let's go to the next one. We have Ford Bronco, Outer Banks model. They have a lot of different trim levels for these Ford Broncos. All of them not selling very well. But you have your MSRP of right at $55,000. and then the invoice is $53,000. I want to pull up just about the cheapest thing that you can be able to buy from Ford. And even at the cheapest level that you're seeing come out of Ford, you're still $33,000 MSRP. And the invoice price, you can see the spread between what it shows on paper that a dealer is going to pay, invoice price, versus MSRP is much lower than what you see out of this F-150. So it just shows you that, okay, yeah, maybe they would sell more of the lower price point vehicles on their lots. But even just looking at face value, just at these invoice prices, you can see that a dealer is going to make a lot more money on the more expensive, and that makes sense in business because the more money you have to invest, the more money that you're going to make. But this is also the F-150 is just going to show why they're leaning into more expensive vehicles. Dealers make more money, and the manufacturer who controls what vehicles are actually getting pushed out to these dealers, and they're going to make a lot more margin. They're going to make a lot more money on the F-150s than they are the Escapes. Very interesting to see the breakdown and at face value what these dealers are actually paying for these cars. Just want to really hammer it in. Just because that's the invoice price, if you go in negotiating off of invoice price, it's not. You could really just even throw it out the window. The invoice price doesn't really mean all that much. Yes, on paper, that's what they pay for the car, but there's so much other money that's being shifted around, so much other money that comes from the manufacturer. They have market assistance, marketing assistance, they have floor plan assistance, all these things that they get from the manufacturer to help line their pockets. So